Hello and welcome to the National Leprechaun Museum's Talking series. And today we're talking
Stones.
big stones.
Big stones.
I'm Mark.
I'm Paudie.
Yeah, and we're here to talk about big stones. And
Big stones.
what a selection!
Oh, that's a good. It's strange because Ireland. We'll start with the grass. The grass is very green in Ireland, as everyone knows. 40
Nice.
shades of green. But why is it green? It's green because of the stone beneath the grass. The rain hits the limestone, and the limestone feeds the grass, making it very green.
Nice.
So stones are the reason why Ireland is green. And in some ways we're very lucky because it is mostly limestone.
Yeah.
There is some basalt there.
Around the edges.
Around the edges. But we have a huge selection of megalithic structures, prehistoric structures. We're not sure the date of some of the structures, but
No.
we have a huge selection. As a country, we're incredibly lucky to have as much as we do.
Yeah. Now, in terms of like monolithic structures and megalithic structures and megalithic art, like we were like 60% of Europe's megalithic art is in Ireland,
Yes.
and it's not that more was done here, but it just seems to have been preserved.
Yeah, well, we didn't have as many empires trooping through the place. We had one,
Yeah.
I suppose, but not until the 11th century,
Yeah.
the 12th century. So we'd no Romans coming in wrecking the place. And we, as a people, we've always had a very huge respect for the land. And I think this book by Jack Roberts, The Sacred Mythological Centres of Ireland, puts it very well when they say that the story of Ireland's structures is the story of the fairies and the stories of the Sidhe, and right for about 2,000, 3,000 years, we were deathly afraid of them, so we wouldn't.
Well, that's why when you say like that, it's been preserved like through a respect. I think it's probably more fear because
Yeah.
it's the everyday. It would have been the everyday uneducated people shaping the landscape.
Yes.
And it was those stories that kept them away from certain areas and certain
Mhm.
places. And in a time when the knowledge was kind of lost of why the things were built,
Yeah.
there wasn't the understanding. It was just that stands out. That looks like it was done on purpose, and I don't know why, so I'm
Mhm.
staying away from it. Because even that book, I picked that book up while we were down in Lochgore Visitor Centre,
Yeah.
which we've been to twice on our field trips. And
Highly recommend it.
yeah, and Grange down there is an amazing,
Oh, it is.
an amazing stone circle.
There's the huge stone as part of the circle in Grange. Is it called? It is the Crom Dove stone, isn't it?
Yeah.
Rotten Crom Dove, and you put your head against it. Our guide taught us to put our heads against it and wait for the hum that would come through the ley lines.
Yeah.
We're not talking about ley lines today, people, because we are never talking about ley lines.
No, there might be a National Leprechaun Museum talking ley lines. No. That's not going to happen. But no, we have been very lucky. I mean, first of all, we're very lucky in where we're born. There's that old kind of saying, which is like if you're lucky enough to be born Irish, you're lucky enough.
Mm-hmm.
But in relation to this, we are very lucky. We're literally surrounded by evidence of this other world.
Yes.
And we've been really lucky then in the museum. You for the last 5 years, being able to actually hop on a bus with Brian, our wonderful driver.
Yes.
And actually go and visit these sites. You can go and look at a rock in the middle of a field, and it's significant.
Yeah. And it has been significant for people for 5,000 years.
Yeah.
That really makes you feel small. I know, like, physics makes me feel small a lot of the time when you think about how small Earth is and how small our star and our galaxy is. But the other thing that makes me feel small is the fact that people have looked at this stone for 5,000 years. All those people, they've looked at it and it's been significant for them.
Yeah.
I'm just one speck along on the timeline.
You make me feel small because you're 6'4". But it is but I can enjoy it. I don't feel emasculated or anything like that. Like I'm not so delicate that. But when we go to these places and we can lay our hand on the rock and we've done that. That's the great thing as well, is that they're so accessible. Now, on the odd occasion, you may have to ask a bit of permission to go onto a piece of land to, and we're always respectful of it. But to actually be able to lay your hands on these things is incredible, and engage with them.
Let's talk about the big daddy of all the megalithic sites, which is Brunaboynia.
Yeah.
Newgrange, Ireland's most famous of the megalithic sites. To make the story of it a bit short for you, Angus Og is looking for a place to stay.
Yeah.
And he noticed that his father, the big daddy, the Dagda, has a very nice house. And he says to his father, "Can I live in your house for Law Agus Iha?" And the Dagda thinks this will be fine.
Just a day and a night?
Day and a night. I'll gladly share my home with you for a day and a night, and I'll go off and I'll eat some porridge or something. What the Dagda didn't realise at the time, or chose not to realise, whichever way you want, is that in Old Irish, Law Agus Iha is also means infinity. It means all year, all time, forever. Law is Iha is every day.
Day and night, not a day and night.
Day and night, because there's that bit of confusion there in Old Irish.
Yeah.
So the god of love, Angus Og, got to keep Brunaboynia forever.
Yeah.
Because he tricked his father.
And it is unquestionably the most famous site.
It is.
I know it predates like Stonehenge and and the pyramids.
Yes.
But it's an amazing site. I'm not taking away from that. I don't know how many school tours I went to Newgrange. But if you even just move across to Loch Crew is older again. Okay, not as impressive and doesn't have a gift shop.
Yeah.
But it's an amazing site. It's again one of these places where if you just lay down in it and close your eyes, you know the feeling that you're somewhere special.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. But the thing as well, that the sites are very important because they teach you the difference between the folklore reason why this thing is and the historical reason why this thing is. Because we were in Rathcroghan, and Rathcroghan is the site of Queen Maeve. It's the site of the pillow talk from the start of the Táin, where Ailill and Maeve have to debate about which one of them is richer. And it turns out Ailill is richer than Maeve because he has that one bull, and Maeve starts a war to end all wars in Ireland, the Táin. But Rathcroghan, whether it was or was not really the site where Maeve and Ailill had their famous pillow talk scene, is up for debate. Because these sites teach you that Rathcroghan was really a religious ceremony site that brought people to a fair maybe once a year. They all gathered around. So you have your folklore reason why something is, you have your historical reason why something is, but the strange thing about visiting them is you experience both.
Yeah, they actually rub along nicely together. Like we understand like that these, what are called in the folklore and in the mythology as doorways to another world. It's really interesting when you look at them in terms of their historical thing, because they were doorways to another world. They were burial sites.
Exactly.
They were the entrance to the afterlife. Like Newgrange is an incredible series of tombs. But it does just play along nicely with the stories. And I think to only appreciate one side of it, you lose it. There's a richness when you kind of bring the two pieces together. And
myself and the hubby were in Craic in Sligo recently, and they have an amazing court cairn there, about 5,000 years old. And you could see the way the whole tomb, the whole stonework, was designed to make you feel like you were going deeper and deeper down into the underworld. Because where else would you bury the king but in the realm of the gods?
Well, that's what's different is like for a lot of cultures. Well, I mean, some cultures have balance of the sky father and the earth father, but in a lot of aspects, people look up to the heavens for their gods. But of course, our other world is in the ground; it's in the earth. So when you're saying that someone's passed away, you're going, I think they've gone You know, that's a good
Yeah.
thing here for us.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and then again, like I said, just having these signposts of the other world is just, well, one, it's really handy.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? But those places of significance, and you've seen them be vandalized over the years.
Yeah.
You know, but they're
Exactly.
still there.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the Hill of Tara, of course. I mean, we did a trip to the Hill of Tara, and it's. I mean, I suppose a lot of them are so out of the way that it wouldn't really invite much kind of like tampering or anything like that. But
Yeah, Tara is most of what it's impressive is just its sheer size of the mounds
yeah,
and the size of the earthworks. But there is that stone that everybody has to touch on
Yeah.
the top of it, which is the Leah Fall, the stone that will cry out when the true King of Ireland touches it.
yeah.
When we visited, it was bucketing down.
Bucketing down.
Bucketing
yeah.
down, and we were reaching out towards it. We put our hand on it, and for some strange reason, when I touched it, it didn't cry out.
Yeah,
Yeah,
weird
it
that.
was
Because we were
weird.
all actually, we had money on it.
Yeah.
Like, here comes Paudie.
So we decided that we would try and kickstart it.
Yeah.
So we all started screaming at the stone.
It was, screaming's a bit harsh. It was a melodic cry. And there was like 6 or 7 of us gathered around the stone with our hands placed on it.
And there was a stranger who was also visiting at the same time as us. She saw us doing this, and she came over and joined in.
But see, I didn't know this because I had my eyes closed. Because, I mean, as much as I enjoy it, as playful I am, it's such an important sign.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That you have to show respect. But I had my eyes closed.
Right.
And I open my eyes and look around and I see my wonderful colleagues, my friends, and there's someone I don't recognise. And I'm like, who's this?
The true
Well,
Queen of Ireland.
The true Queen of Ireland just appeared.
With a French accent.
But again, these sites serve as places to bring people together.
Oh yeah, definitely.
You know what I mean? It wasn't just about burial. It wasn't just about ceremony. There was a community aspect to these sites as well.
And the solstice sites, the ones that light up
Yeah.
on the shortest day of the year or the longest day of the year, these ones, they're about preservation, self-preservation. The survival of the human species is what is built into Brunaboyna, into Newgrange.
Yeah.
Because when on December 21st, when that shaft of sunlight goes down into Brunaboyna and it hits the swirl symbol that represents the universe, eternity, existence, then life is brought back to the world, the sun is reinvigorated, the gods are woken up in their underworld, and life can slowly start coming back into the world.
And of course, you see every day after that, the days get longer, it gets brighter and brighter. And for people who had no real understanding of the, the greater kind of idea of it, that must have seemed like magic.
Yeah, it must have seemed very necessary. It must have seemed like life or death situation.
If you didn't do it, what would have happened? And of course, you don't take the risk.
No.
You do it religiously. If you they would do it. They would do it every year.
Speaking of Tara, though, it has an association with 2 other stones, two very other important stones. The Leah Fall has an association. It's the original is supposed to make up. Part of it is supposed to make up the Blarney Stone.
Yeah.
My father has a saying about the Blarney Stone, which is the Blarney Stone is in Kerry, the Blarney Stone is in Clare. There's a Blarney Stone in Wicklow, and there's 2 of them in Kildare. And so long as you're a stranger, where the River Shannon flows, the only Blarney Stone I know is the one underneath your nose. So it's basically that an Irish person will try and convince you that every stone is the Blarney Stone, and the other half of it is the Stone of Scone.
Yeah.
The High Kings of Scotland were crowned on, and is now in Westminster Abbey.
Not where it should be, but let's not get into that.
It was stolen, wasn't it?
It was stolen. Actually, there was I think it was a made-for-TV movie of the stealing of it by a bunch of students, and it was brilliantly done. I wish I could remember the name of it. But the Blarney Stone, of course, in terms of big stones, it might seem a little bit more like commercial or something kind of
Right.
almost pop culture, like in its accessibility. There's no getting away from its impact.
You have to hang out from the battlements to kiss it.
Yeah.
Over a pretty.
Have you done it?
No. I
Okay.
had to think there for a minute.
Going through all the stones you've kissed in your life.
Because I mix it up with that other big. Sometimes I mix up Blarney with that other big castle. You know, the one with the mead hall attached to it.
Oh, I can't think.
Yeah. But I haven't kissed it.
I have.
Someone told me they peed on it, so I decided not to kiss it.
This is the thing. There's if you go and you look at it, the angle. I mean, whoever has managed to pee on it, fair play to them.
Right. Okay.
and I would want to kiss a stone that's been peed on by someone who could carry out such a feat.
Right.
No, I mean, yeah, you hear so many stories about things people have done to it, but no, it's neck breaking to get to it.
Okay.
And if you don't like heights, I wouldn't be going near it.
No.
But there's also piles of rocks.
Just piles of rocks.
Around Ireland. Like we've gone up to, we mentioned Queen Maeve already,
Yeah.
but we went up to Queen Maeve's tomb, and that's quite a trek. And you get to the top of it, and it's just this massive.
Yeah.
I can't even. It's hard to even explain just how immense it is when you get up there. And people, of course, carry up rocks and like to add stones to it. But there's the idea that you shouldn't take a stone away from any of these places. The same with Cesar's tomb, which we've been to. And Cesar was the first woman in Ireland.
Yeah.
And again, like you hear the stories and the legends, and they seem so far-fetched. But when you stand with your feet on the ground at a place, it suddenly becomes very real again.
And Maeve was a kind of. She was a great hero in their minds, and I was at Carrickeel and Connemore not so long ago, and all of those tombs are arranged in such a way that the entrance points out towards Maeve's tomb. So one of the fantastic things about the stones in Ireland is the way that they're arranged to face each other or are associated with each other. Again, we'll never make a podcast about ley lines, but some of the stones do look towards each other and are arranged around each other in ways you'd think, how did they do that without a helicopter or without any...
Drones would have made their lives so much easier.
Drones would have made their life very easy.
But all of it, like the planning out with them, like I've stood like up at Schlieguldian, like on a clear day, and you look out and it's amazing what you can see.
Yeah.
But there's whatever about like sending someone a message, you know what I mean, or being quite, you'd have to be quite loud to shout an instruction across.
Yeah.
But like communication and travel took so much longer. So whatever about erecting the stones is incredible, and planning it all out and how they kind of relate to each other. It's impressive enough for me when you stand at Grange by Lochgore and you see these stones in a perfect circle.
Yeah.
Though I believe when they did an excavation there, they found a hole in the centre of it, which is probably where they kind of took the point from with a rope, kind of marked it out.
Yeah.
But they've done a lot of kind of archaeological research there as well, and they've seen just how far the stones go below the surface, and it's almost like an iceberg.
Yeah.
You walk up to these stones and they're standing 8, 10, 12 feet tall, and you think with enough force you could push it over, but you don't understand how deeply they're rooted in the earth.
Wow.
You tractor a good length of rope.
It's a lot to think about when you don't, like, they had horses, but they were rare and they were little pony things.
Yeah.
So most of it is done with just your two hands.
Back-breaking labour.
Back-breaking labour.
Yeah. Something that we've become, it's alien to us now.
Oh, definitely.
I don't think I'd want to be building. It'd be shoddily done nowadays anyway.
Yeah, we pay to go to the gym and lift heavy things now.
Yeah, but in terms of our stones, like we said, we've been very lucky, and we've not even scratched the surface talking about them. Even the ones that we visited, and yet there are thousands upon thousands of them around the country.
There's a couple of stones that I think are very important that we're going to have to talk about, right? Now, at this point, ladies and gentlemen, if there are kids in the room watching, maybe cover their ears.
Oh, I'm nervous now.
Because first of all, we have the Sheila the Geith.
Yes.
I think it's important to mention them because we are talking about stones.
Yeah.
They are women, although whether they are particularly feminine or not is another thing. And they have exaggerated lady parts.
Vulvas, yes.
Vulvas, and they're holding them open, and some say they represent fertility.
Yeah.
The interesting thing about them is that they are often in churches.
Yeah, it's hard to tell. Like, people argue over, like, are they not, like, when were they introduced?
Yeah.
And because of where they are and the structure they're built on, we can approximate. But did they pre-exist the structures that they're on?
Yeah. Did they take them from somewhere else and put them in the arch of their church, or did the priest order one made for his church, and what did he think he was doing?
He had a catalogue, and he's just like plumbing through the catalogue, going, "We could get this one. We could get this on above the doorway, but no, let's go with
I
this
like
one."
this one with no hair and a round head.
Yeah. But they're incredible. Like, I know the museum has spoken and written about them before. Like, and there's 13 they believe that are in their original locations. And of course around Lochgur I think there's 3 or 4 in the area of Lochgur.
Yes.
That are in a place. I know we went to one where I made the grass shoes.
Yes.
If you remember that field trip.
And the Fettered, we saw one in Fettered.
We saw one in Fetter as well, yeah, where they had the hand burgers. This was the hamburgers.
Yeah.
But if someone has one or finds one, they belong to the state.
Yeah, they were the property of the people of Ireland.
And that's a long, quiet pause there because I just don't know how to address it. Because I remember, whether it was a true story or not, where a couple of brothers, I think, down towards Limerick.
Well, yeah, they made one out of concrete.
I don't know if it was getting concrete, but they made one, and of course the state representatives of the state came and took it away, and the guys insisted that it was something they'd done themselves, but the state were having none of it. They took it.
Yeah.
But when they take them on behalf of the people, I'd be okay with that if they were put on display.
No, they're just locked away.
Yeah.
In a dark room. It's sad, really.
It is sad. Make them accessible.
Yeah.
I could diverge off into the realm of bog butter now, Paudie.
No,
I won't.
I'm reasonably happy with the displays in the National Museum.
Yeah.
The Christian Celtic stuff is pretty marvellous for the handiwork there, but sometimes you just like an exhibit of Sheila's.
Yeah. So get your hands on that catalogue then.
Yeah.
But again, that brings it back full circle around to the artwork that we're talking about. Like, kind of like this, it's not enough just having the big stones, because obviously a lot of the carvings on the stones have been worn away over time, and we can look at illustrations and and look at the marks that have been left. But the doorway stone going into Newgrange is just
there is an indescribable feeling when you see that swirl pattern on a stone, or you see some other Celtic design on one of those stones I'm only saying swirls now because the swirls are in front of me on the book, but that's about 5,000 years ago, and you're connected to the person
who actually carved that. I studied, as you know, sculpture. I did stone carving as part of my course, and the effort that goes into it is unreal. But that these guys were doing it, and there's so many examples of it, great examples of it still around Ireland, is just incredible. Yeah. Like when you find something fossilized, when these little shelled kind of sea creatures like embedded in stone, that's impressive.
Oh yeah.
But it wasn't intentional.
No.
It's the intent and the purpose of the carvings on the stones that I have nothing but respect for.
And to realise that these people 5,000 years ago, while they didn't have a lot of things, their minds weren't primitive.
No.
Like the symbols there, the Irish in that period were thinking of big things. They had big ideas on their minds. Infinity, eternity, God, these are all.
And nowadays we think day to day, and during the times we find ourselves in now, like Ireland is is growing because we're restricted in our movements, but they just saw everything is everlasting. There was no edge to anything. Everything was a continuation, which is
circular
holy,
calendar,
wholly impressive.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, Paudie, this is something that I think we could keep talking about continuously.
Oh, yes.
But yeah, maybe you've got a comment or something you want to share to us about a stone in your area, or share a story with us. And if you have anything like that, just get in touch with us. Leave us a comment or drop us an email, or send us a letter.
Oh yeah, that would be nice.
On occasion, I like getting letters. But thank you so much for coming in and listening to us talking big stones.
Big stones.
And we'll see you guys again soon. So goodbye from me, and
I really enjoyed this. Bye bye, interwebs.